I have a confession.
Tell me everything.
I'm a sucker for free things,
Oh,
which is
yes.
not really a confession. I mean, we already knew that, but I have a funny story. So the other night, I was on a walk with Ella and Anthony. And I had walked past his house like multiple times that day, just like on dog walks or whatever. But this time I walked past and they had a bookshelf outside, but not just any bookshelf, a bookshelf with a free sign on it. And I was like,
Ah.
wait, what? It's free? Could this be the bookshelf of my dreams that I have been hoping and wishing for and literally putting into my cart on IKEA.com every single weekend,
Wait, wait.
but
Give me
not
more
buying it?
descriptions. Give me more descriptions. Was it
Oh, we're getting
short? Was
there.
it fat? Was it
No,
thick?
it's really tall. It's like 79.25 inches tall. It's 11
Ooh.
inches wide. It's called the Billy bookshelf, which is
Oh, I
like,
love the Billy.
yeah, the Billy is like basic bitch IKEA. I get that
Yeah.
too, but like it's 79.99 now. It used to be
Yeah, I know. I
$40.
love a
It's not
Billy. Yeah.
$40 anymore, but it was free. So I was like, Anthony, we need to go home and get the car and come back. And he's just like, it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, but this bookshelf is here and it's only here right now. So we go home. I get my measuring tape because I'm like, I can't find anywhere on it if it really is a Billy, but I'm pretty sure it's a Billy. But once I measure it, I'm going to know it's the Billy. So I measured it and it was the Billy. Then clear all the stuff out of my car and we load it into the back. It doesn't fit like at all.
So it's
Also,
like hanging out. So it's like hanging out the back.
the back is fully open. I
Yeah.
have to turn the lights off because like the doors are open and the car is just like, you're driving with the doors open. I'm like, hold on to the bookshelf, Anthony. And he's just like, this is like embarrassed. He's embarrassed to be seen with me. And I'm like,
Dude,
don't let go.
this is my life. I do this all the time.
And so thankfully, again, 10 o'clock at night. So we were able to go down one alley, cross one busy street, but it was empty because it's 10 o'clock at night, go into another alley, and then we were home sweet home. And now I have a free Billy bookshelf in my garage. Eventually it will be here, but I have to collect more Billies off the street for
I made us, so when we were getting rid of furniture and keeping furniture, I think we had 3 Billies, and I made Nils drive them up to Oakland to put them up in our like storage area because I was like, no, I'm not getting rid of bookcases. I've got too many books.
I mean, I have way too many books, and I'm really excited about this project because it's going to be the bookshelves, and then you can get doors attached to it. So the bottoms are going to be cabinets, the top are going to be bookshelves. I'm going to have more space, and then I'm going to take this shelf. Those you watching right here, this is the Kallax, the other basic bitch IKEA thing.
Yes.
And like flip that, put some legs on it. I'm going to build some doors for it, and it's going to become a new TV console, and it's going to look amazing. I'm very excited.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So the only thing more exciting than a DIY like upcycled project is finding said things for free on the side of the road. So it's
especially in this day and age where things are even harder to find than ever. You know?
Well, the Billy bookshelf is like legitimately sold out at every IKEA right
exactly.
now.
That's what I'm saying. It's really nice when you can like just get stuff. You're like, sweet, I got it. I loved living in Los Angeles and just being able to like find stuff and like pull it in my car and like throw it on.
Stuff. Yeah.
I know.
Just
it
hold
doesn't
on
happen everywhere. Doesn't happen everywhere.
Don't let her go.
I know. One of my favorite Instagram accounts that I follow is called Stooping. Anybody else follow Stooping?
No.
Stooping New York City, Stooping Los Angeles. It's where essentially when you drop something. Oh, so when you drop something on the curb, it's called your stoop, and you stoop it, and then like you stick a picture of it and where it is located, like the two like cross streets, and somebody can go by and pick it up.
That's the one you sent me where the person went and played the piano, right?
Yeah, they had like a baby grand piano like on the stoop of a New York City. Yeah, Stooping.
Yeah. That was so cool. Oh, that's awesome.
Super into stooping.
I mean, it's like one man's trash is another person's treasure. And then also, like, I already have the plans to like paint it and like, sand it down a little bit and like change it. So the state that it's in now, I'm like, oh, that's fine. And then I feel like I'm doing something good for the environment. So really, this is just about stroking my green ego, and it's feeling very stroked.
I've built many a spa on found and used items. So many things that way. If you're listening, dear listener, and you're like, I don't have the money to kind of, go out on my own, there's nothing like finding things on the street and upcycling them.
Facebook Marketplace. And there's so many tutorials on YouTube on how to like upcycle stuff. I mean, honestly, there's like this primer that you can get that like goes on anything. You don't even have to sand it first. And then add some dowels, add some feet, and like bada bing, bada boom. It looks
You can
beautiful.
also just put wallpaper, anything. Make something nicer as well.
Okay, so these bookshelves, you are the first to know. everyone listening right now, they're going to be like a jewel tone blue. And then I'm going to put marble contact paper in the back. So you have that white like popping forward, and it's going to look so cool.
There you go, guys. All right. Well, with all of that DIY, let's get this party started. Hi, I'm Sybil Solon. I'm an esthetician and spa owner.
And hi, I'm Alex Ellis. I'm a body nerd and wellness expert, and we are business besties.
And bosses, running your own business, it's hard.
But we're terrible employees, so we're figuring it out.
I've already figured it all out, but we promise to share everything we know about what it takes to make six figures and beyond.
And be brutally honest about what works and what totally sucks.
A bunch of it totally sucks. But let's get started.
Welcome back to Skinfessional. On today's show, we are talking about how we mirror our clients' bad behavior without even realizing it.
And taking your own damn advice.
I am personally offended by that statement. So I know for me, this concept of like taking your own advice, I literally just had this conversation with my therapist this week, and we went on and on and on and on to arrive at the realization of, shit, this is the same advice I give my clients, and I should just take it now, I guess. Which is, I mean, it took a fucking hour to get there.
Yeah.
And an annoying place.
And you paid money to do it.
And yeah, I paid money to do it. Exactly. Yeah. I know, right? So tell me what you were thinking about with this.
So I just want to, full disclosure, everyone. I came up with this particular topic because I have been making phone calls to my business clients and potential business future clients and about taking courses with me. And I'm just kind of getting a feel for where people are with some of the courses that I'm planning for the next year. And I keep getting the same kind of feedback where people are like, it's kind of expensive. And I don't know if I can right now because it's really uncertain. And I don't know what to do right now. And I think I'm saving up for a device and blah, 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 blah. Right. And it came to me that the same advice that we give our clients about skincare, where it's like, we constantly are saying, if you want to change your life, you want to change your skin, you want to make changes, then you need to put your money where your mouth is, or you need to decide that you want to make those changes and leap into that. And you need to invest in yourself. And all these things that we do are things that we ourselves are afraid to do. And I literally woke up one morning and was like, fuck estheticians. I don't want to help them anymore. They don't want to help themselves. Because I'm like, I'm just going to go back to helping regular people. I'm going to give my advice to regular people. And then I was like, oh my God, we as estheticians do not listen to our own effing advice.
No, I think that's the same for so many industries too.
Because what I just said was, fuck estheticians. How many times have I said that to my clientele? Like, fuck clients. They don't know what the hell they're doing, and they don't listen to what I say. And then I looked at myself and said, how many times have I not listened to my own advice?
Mm-hmm. Or someone else's advice? Wink, wink, wink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I really had like a come to Jesus kind of moment where I just sat down and I really started thinking about it for over a week period. And then I was like, I'm going to have this conversation with Alex and see what she says. And Alex, what was your initial like feel when I was like, this is the topic I want to do?
Son of a bitch. I mean, yeah, because I literally was having this conversation this week too. Of just like, I mean, for me, it's about like expectations and like perfection. And I think, as business owners, we're like, well, I should have it figured out already, or whatever. It needs to be perfect. And then we tell our clients like one step at a time, just focus on the one thing you can change. And I was like, oh, fuck, I need to be doing that too. It's like, it feels like like someone just dunked some like cold water over your head where you're like, oh, it's really uncomfortable, but like, dang it, you were right.
Yeah. So for me, a lot of it is, and I've heard this before, and my therapist once said to me, she's like, the people around you often hold a mirror up to you. And they, so when something bothers you, it's because they're literally holding a mirror up to you and saying, this is what you do, this is who you are. And they're just reflecting this back at you. And so when you're like, I can't stand that person, I can't stand them when they do this or when they do that. And you're like, that's because you do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, so I always think about that when I'm like really frustrated by something. I'm like, how is that inside of me? Or what do I do that's like that?
Yeah.
And yeah. And so there was a lot of that going on for me. It's I know for me, it's taken me a long time to kind of move past a lot of my money stories. And as I'm building a new business, a lot of the stories have come up again where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can spend on that, or I don't know if I could do this, or I have a lot of lack again. But I have to, I have better tools, equipment to kind of set those aside because I recognize them.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, I'm just thinking of like a practical tip for that because I think that having that money for education or for other things, like whatever it may be, is often a struggle for many people,
Hmm.
right? Because like you pay your bills and maybe you even pay yourself, and then you're like, shoot, like where did the rest of the money go?
Yeah.
So something that I've been doing for the last couple years is when I sit down and look at my money, typically twice a month, I take, I think it's even like maybe 5%, probably less. I can't remember the exact percent, and that just goes into an account where that's like fun money. I can do whatever I want with it,
Hmm.
guilt-free spending money. It can be whatever. And for the last couple of years, like I said, I've been like making lists of things I want to buy, and then I spend it all at once. And then I had the realization, like literally this morning, that I was like, wait, I could take that money and like, still it's guilt-free spending money, but I can spend it differently, right? And this is
Hmm.
also how we change our approach. Just because you've been doing something the same way doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it. Doesn't mean that's the way that you have to keep doing it, even if you've like made a big stink about this is how it's done. No one cares.
Right.
So I'm taking half of that profit, right, and spending it right now on stuff that I've want to buy, whatever. And then the other half is going to be broken down into longer savings goals, right, for like
Yeah.
this bookcase project, for travel, for things like that. But being like proactive, like to me, this is no different than like ordering your serum ahead of time so that it doesn't run out
Right.
because you're thinking ahead. It's the same idea, but with your money so that you have money to then spend on education and other things and not feeling like you're just like, scrimping, is that the word? Like pennies
Yeah,
together
yeah,
to like
scrimping
pay
and
for stuff.
saving and like trying to get
Yeah.
this job done. And that's a good point. So for me, and I've talked about this before, for me, I've actually always looked at my tips because once again, I truly believe that tipping is something that is extra. If you have your tips as part of like this is covering your costs, I want you to really reevaluate the cost that you're like the cost of your business. I want you to
Yeah.
think about your pricing. Your tips, in my opinion, should never be like, well, with my tips, I make enough money.
Yeah.
It is called a tip because it is supposed to be extra.
Yeah.
That way you never feel like you have to have a tip.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my tipping was always the extra that was designed for my education
Mm-hmm.
or the next thing I was getting for my spa. And
Mm-hmm.
that way, when I talked to my clientele about my tips, I said, my tips go into the advancement of me and you.
Mm-hmm.
You give me money so that I can up my education. I can get you new product. I can bring new stuff into this spa. That's what I do with my tipping. So you tip me, so I tip you back.
Right. And that could easily be communicated too with like a little sign like, tips are appreciated and help to support, you and me with
Yeah.
education and new services or like something like that.
Yeah, and as long as you're always talking about the next thing you're doing, when you people love to hear what you're doing and they love to support what you're doing and they want you to do those things. They want you to come in with like the new thing. You have FOMO about what you're not doing, they have FOMO about what they're not getting, right?
Yeah.
So, but one of the things that I talk about a lot is that new device that has like it's ephemeral. It's like this thing that doesn't matter. It is boring after time. It breaks down. It really wasn't that exciting, perhaps, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your education goes with you everywhere. It's yours for life and it builds on itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
it can go everywhere with you. It doesn't have to like be put in a basket and be taken somewhere. It doesn't break down.
I think like the value of education is requires you to look like long term. And I think that's
Hmm.
like really the struggle. I know you have definitely helped me rethink how I feel about education because there's also a difference in feeling like you have to do something and it's
Hmm.
the only way. right? And there's that like sense of desperation, versus like, here's what I hope to get out of this. Because
Yeah.
there's no one course, no one person who's going to give you all things. And the people who say that they will are the ones who are going to charge like stupid amounts of money and steal your money and put you in debt. But
Right.
the ones where you're like, I know some of this, but I want to learn it from this person because of this reason, or I want to learn this, that, or whatever. Like that, like you're saying, it serves you again and again and again. And you take that plus your experience and it morphs into something even bigger and better, which in the long term is so much better than like, oh, I got this cool device that I can use on people. It does the
Hmm.
same thing and it's never going to change.
Right. Exactly. So when we're talking about kind of like taking our own advice, one of the things that also I think happens is that we tell our clients to, come in on the regular basis. And we say,
Mhm.
so Alex, you are constantly telling people to, you know, do small increments and
Mhm.
do small things and just try to keep consistent, right?
You're personally attacking me right now. I don't like
Try to stay consistent. Well, I hear it all the time. Just stay consistent. And with us, I find that we are also a kind of an industry where we're like, I gotta do it all. I gotta do it all. I'm gonna get this one thing, and then I'm just gonna power through this one thing, and it's gonna be this thing forever, and it's gonna change everything I'm doing. Right? I'm
that.
gonna learn this new thing, or I'm gonna get this one thing. And I never find that that's the case. I look at the things that I've learned as an esthetician as once again, it stacks on each other, And
Yeah,
Alex, I know that you also have done a ton of education over the years.
so
Once
much.
again, we met in a cadaver class. You would not usually see an esthetician in a cadaver class,
Yoga teacher.
right? A yoga teacher in a cadaver class. But the things that I learned in that class, the person that I met in that class, once again, sometimes
Mhm.
you take a class because of the people who are going to be in it,
I
right?
just actually did last Friday a talk to my college roommates' high school anatomy class about careers in anatomy and like how I, infuse anatomy into what I do and how it's helped. And actually, that was the exact advice I gave them, was to stay curious and open for opportunities and like to always deepen your education, not just for what you're going to learn, but also for who you're going to meet. Because those connections that we make end up like all of the time being so much more valuable than what actually happened. I think of like the three people I talk to most often and who are super, super impactful and whose opinions I respect tremendously are you. We met over dead bodies.
Mhm.
My friend Nicole, we met in a job that we both hated. And then Kim, who I met through
Yeah,
the mastermind that put me into $40,000 of debt. But
right.
I made an amazing friend who literally has transformed my business just in being my friend. So
That's right.
it is. It's like, it's about those connections. And if you're just thinking about things in their pure dollar like value, I feel like you kind of miss the point. And if that dollar value is the problem, right, let's start to peel back the layers. Let's see what's actually going on. And like you're saying too, it's no different than your skin. Am I just going to treat your skin as I see it, or are we going to get into the habits and the daily things and like the
Right.
actual things that are going on that are contributing to what I'm seeing on the outside?
That is absolutely correct. And it is
Very
a
deep.
habit. It is a habit. It's,
Mhm.
I'm not going to do this one thing and it's going to change everything. It's going to change
Never.
absolutely everything. It might change the way you start perceiving things,
Yeah.
which I sometimes think will change your life,
Yeah.
and that when that happens for me, because I mean, I think sometimes of the courses that I've taken that have changed like the way I perceive things, or the one conversation that I had with somebody at a luncheon or something that
Mhm.
changed my life, that I'll be like, whoa, I remember sitting at a Jane Iredale conference and sitting next to a lady who owned like a multi-million-dollar spa. And I have a cat behind me right now. Hi. Um, I remember she said something to me that always changed my mind, which was, she's like, I think that front desk reception people are incredibly stupid. And I remember sitting there being like, let me have a conversation with you about that. And I need to forever make sure that when I talk to front desk reception people, to let them know that big spas think that they are not valuable.
Well, also, like, they're literally the face of your business. What an entitled fucking asshole thing to say.
Yes, and I was just like, and she owned a Jane Iredale run spa, and I was like, I need to go out there and like talk to people about the fact that their front desk staff need to be like treated well and like be respected and trained up better.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons why I was like, I'm gonna talk to people one day. Now, podcast didn't exist, but I'm like, I'm gonna talk to people one day, and we're gonna talk about these things. And I started
Mhm.
really deep diving into customer care because of that reason.
Oh, customer care.
Oh, customer care. That was the reason. I mean, really, that
Yeah.
set me on my customer care journey.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you never know what relationships and connections and things that happen. It all matters. So I think being open to the opportunities for sure is really
Mm-hmm.
important.
Staying
Um,
curious.
yeah, but I just think, like the things that we're like resistant to, or the
Mhm,
things that we're like you're saying, that we're annoyed by. I can't remember where this is from, but there's something, I think it's like the 5 whys or something like that, where it's
mhm.
like, well, why do you feel this way? And of course you're gonna have an answer. Okay, but why? And then you're like, well, I just said, but why? Like
Right.
really digging deep into what's actually, going on. And ultimately it's like, well, why are you actually triggered?
Right.
And it's not because, this person just isn't doing the work or like what they said, but it's ultimately like how you feel. And those are the things we can change, right? Especially when it comes to
Yeah.
like clients and their behavior. I can't change my client's behavior, but maybe there's a way in which I can package it and something that I can offer, or how I talk about something that allows them to see the value that I already know is there.
Yeah.
So maybe that is like a different way to think about it too. Even for you, Sybil, as you're trying to, share the value of these courses that you've created that are fucking amazing.
Thank you.
And it's just how do I package it? You know?
Right. Right. And such a good point. And also, like, I think that there's this resistance that happens when we also have this fear. Right? I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to make sure I bring up we have such a fear of change, and we have a
Mm-hmm.
fear of failure, and I think that that sometimes comes up, and we have a
Mm-hmm.
fear of this memory of something that might have happened in the past, like, "Well, I've done this before, I've done had" once again, skincare, "But I've done the skincare before, and I didn't get change," or, "I did
Yeah,
this
I
other
tried that
thing,"
already. It didn't work.
right? But a lot of this has to do once again, think about what can we learn from our clients when they say these things to us. Well, but it was different then, or you didn't do it with me, or you didn't invest right, or you didn't really go in on it. All the things that you hear that are like these like pushbacks, you know, think about it with those same things in mind for yourself, because that's what I started doing when I have now started like being like, well, once again, as Alex said, why do I feel that way?
Yeah. And what
Because
if I felt differently?
yeah, because there is this like pot kettle situation, this pot kettle calling the you're like, what is happening that is making me actually have fear, that is making me not want to do this, that I'm getting this resistance? Is it actually because I don't want to do these things, or is it actually because of some other reason? And then, if nothing else, look at those feelings and then suddenly understand what your clients are feeling.
Mm.
So
I mean,
much.
yeah, I mean, I'll be super transparent because this is Skinfessional. It's what we do. So the conversation I was having with my therapist yesterday was about growing my business.
Hmm.
Because like after the last year I had with taking care of my dad, like it was, I mean, you guys were here the whole time. It was fucking hard.
Yeah.
And it really did help me kind of reevaluate what was important and like what I wanted to do and what I wanted to focus on. And simplicity has been super helpful. But I also feel like, while my business is growing, but then I also feel like I'm capable of more, and I want to also prove to myself that I'm capable of more and grow it in that way. And yet there's a part of me that's like, well, I don't really want to work harder. Like I want it to like grow without me having to do anything. And so we're having this conversation, we're digging into it. And as we start to peel the layers off and peel the layers away, I realize that there's a part of me that like wants more money, and yet also realizes that more money doesn't fix the shitty relationship I have with money now, which is light years better than it has been, but isn't perfect. And I only like perfection and control. Okay. And I work
And
with
and if you haven't listened to the show, you would never know that.
never,
What?
never. You would have no idea. I know. I said, the title of my memoir is going to be like mindful management without control. Story told in 3 parts. It'd be a 4.5 hour play. But the same advice I give to my clients who are like, well, I'm not doing it right. It's not perfect. I'm not seeing results yet. I'm not even going to try. And I say to them, like, don't worry about getting it perfect. Just do something. Let it be messy. Let it be wrong. Let it be you're only going to learn by tripping and messing up and fixing and changing. And also, like we've already talked about, where you end now is not where you always have to be. That too can change and grow. All you need to know is what that next best step is. And those
Yes.
words came out of my mouth, and I was like, son of a bitch.
Oh, oh.
Same shit I say to other people. And I guess I probably should take my own advice, but my advice is for other people. It's not for me. I already have it figured out. What?
No, 100%. So see if you can catch yourself in those. In fact, what I did, and I once again, 100% transparency, I actually wrote down all of what I consider like, and we have them all over like our catchphrases that we just say to all of our people, right?
Yeah.
I just wrote all of mine down and I was like, how would I apply these to myself in the shit that I do in my day-to-day life?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I would never have considered myself a perfectionist, but what holds me back is the weird perfectionism that I have.
Mm-hmm.
That is what holds me back is my
Mm-hmm.
perfectionism and my fear of failure. Like I
Mm-hmm.
have a huge fear of failure in certain places. Like a lot of times I'm like, I'll fail, I don't care. And then you'll hit like a specific space in your
Mm-hmm.
life where you're like, but not there.
Yep.
Nope, not there.
Yep.
So start digging into yourself. And this is where Alex would be like, journal. I'm a Gen Xer. We don't effing journal. So
Okay, well,
that's
I'm going
not
to
a
call
thing.
your therapist. It's basically journaling out loud.
Call your therapist or talk to yourself, which is also what I do. You can also write
Mhm.
yourself letters. I find writing myself letters, which my therapist is like, write yourself letters. And I find that very useful as well.
Ooh.
I write
Well, that's
myself
what
letters.
journaling. You
Right.
hypocrite.
Dear future self, dear future self, dear future self.
Dear future
When you
self,
read this, you'll know.
writing in your journal, it's the same thing.
No, because journaling is like some other like weird like things I don't do. Whatever. Gen
Okay.
Xers do not journal.
Whatever you call it, that's fine. But if you're writing on paper, it is journaling.
Letters to my future self if I have to, but very rarely. Most of the time I just have conversations with myself that are very deep and meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah. But see what comes up for all of you. I'm super curious that if you get the sweats and the chills and you're like, oh God, I do this. And if you're like, no, I don't do this, you're lying.
Hey, go deeper. You're totally lying.
I'm lying.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, I'm also really curious for those of you listening if these are things that you're thinking about as well. If you're like, my clients don't know anything, and then really you're like, oh shoot, it's me. Like we want to know the deep work that's going on, because I think too of being like stepping into the full expression of like who you are and like who you want to be and how you want to exist in this world requires peeling back the layers, unzipping yourself a little bit, and like dealing with your shit. And I promise you, it's probably going to be the same 3 or 4 stories and
Yes.
drama that comes up again and again and again and again and again. So ask those questions, do the work, because baby, you're worth it. And the other side, which isn't even really a side. Like, hear me. I'm like, once you get to the other side, you've completed all of the steps and achieved perfection. God damn it. No, it is a journey, right? But that next step and even 3 steps down the line are going to be better than right now. They're going to be
Alex is
different.
like, I have been healed. I know.
I know. I literally I straight up started the conversation yesterday too with my therapist. Okay, so I have this problem and I would like you to give me my 10-step checklist so that I could be done with it. And she's like, sure. Okay.
Oh my God.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah. So I've been doing therapy for forever. I just celebrated my birthday in March, and I've been in therapy since I was 16. So
Mhm.
on and off. And guess what? Still have no idea what's going on most of the time. And just every time I go in, I'm like, right, I'm back here again. Just finding another layer of that crap.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep. I mean, it's also just like someone to dump on who there's no, that's the relationship. That's
Yeah.
literally what you're paying for. And I find it as like an external processor into Pisces, so helpful. Just
Yeah, it's
so
very
supportive.
therapeutic to have somebody who has no skin in the game, and it's just like, okay, that's cool. All right, here's maybe some homework. Go think about those things now. I'll see you next time.
Mhm. Mhm, mhm.
Good job on that.
So definitely keep us posted. If these are things you're thinking about too, if you have had an opportunity where you got to take your own damn advice, and if you found it to be nearly as annoying as Sybil and I have. So drop us a DM, tag us on Instagram, let us know. You can find the show at Skinfessional. You can find Sybil at Skin Fitness Expert. You can find me at Hala from Allah. Or you can leave us a voicemail in the Skinfectional, ew,
Whew.
Skin
I mean,
Skinfessional.
Skinfessional could be
I hope
different.
you do not have a Skinfectional box. That would be nasty. Run the other way. What is that voicemail number, Sybil, for our Skinfessional box?
Thank you. 818-473-5277.
You can also send us an email that is skinfessional, like this show, pod, at gmail.com.
All right, everyone. So until next week.
Keep your secrets to yourself.
Unless you're telling us.
Goodbye.
All right, bye. Love that we have Skinfections now. I like that you went to like infection and I went to like confections.
Oh no, I was like, oh, pus. All right,
I was like, I'm gonna go eat some of that Skinfections.
Go stop the recording.
I got sugar on the brain.